Before Superman, Batman, or Spider-Man, there were the Trailblazers, the original heroes who defined the genre. The Phantom. It's the mid-1930s, radios are playing soft jazz music throughout the streets, movies are still in black and white, and superheroes, well, they're not even a thing yet. Yeah, imagine that. Then in 1936, a guy named Lee Falk decided to change everything. He created the Phantom, the first costume superhero ever in a daily comic strip. Now this guy came before Superman, Batman, and pretty much everyone else. The Phantom made his debut on February 17th, 1936, and he appeared in newspaper strips before eventually transitioning to comic books. So who is the Phantom? Well, he's known as the Ghost Who Walks, which is pretty badass. He's not your typical superhero with superpowers or gadgets. No, the Phantom is actually the 21st in a long line of crime fighters who passed the mantle down from father to son. Must be nice. He operates out of the fictional African jungle of Bengala, protecting it from pirates, poachers, and other bad guys. Now what makes him so cool is his mystique, right? People think he's immortal because for 400 years there's always been a Phantom. His costume is also iconic. A purple suit, black mask, and striped trunks. Looks like somebody I would never want to mess with. Oh, and let's not forget Skull Cave. Of course, the famous Skull Cave, his secret hideout where he keeps treasures and records of past adventures. The Phantom's legacy is massive. Without him, who knows if superheroes would have ever worn their iconic costumes. He set the template for so much of what we love in the genre today. And hey, you ever wonder why Batman lives in a bat cave? Well, you could thank the Phantom for that inspiration. He's such a nepo baby, isn't that true? Yeah, he's born, that's it, now he has a job. That's it, no applying. No reference letters? Must be nice, dude. Mandrake the Magician. Before Harry Potter, Doctor Strange, or any other magic-wielding heroes, there was Mandrake the Magician. And yes, he would have been a Gryffindor for sure. Another creation by Lee Falk, the same guy who gave us the Phantom. Mandrake made his first appearance June 11th, 1934 in newspaper comic strips, but at the time, Mandrake was groundbreaking. While most comics focused on slapstick or crime, here was a character who dealt in illusions, hypnotism, and the supernatural. Mandrake is this cool magician with a tuxedo, a top hat, and a cape. He looks amazing, the classic magician look. But this guy wasn't just pulling rabbits out of his hat, no, he was doing much more. Mandrake used his skills to fight crime, battling everything from mobsters to intergalactic villains, you name it. His signature move is hypnosis. He could convince enemies that their weapons were snakes or that they were surrounded by fire. Whatever works to save the day. Talk about a creative way to disarm bad guys, okay. Abracadabra. Mandrake also had an incredible supporting cast, including his best friend Lothar, one of the first African-American comic characters portrayed in a heroic and dignified light. Together they traveled the world taking down evil masterminds, other magicians, anyone that's in their way. Mandrake's mix of action and magic was ahead of its time, and he's often considered the blueprint for later mystical heroes. Next time you're watching Doctor Strange, think about this man. Mandrake. Dr. Occult. Alright, this one's a deep cut for hardcore comic fans. Dr. Occult was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. You know, the guys who would go on to invent Superman. No big deal. Dr. Occult made his first appearance in New Fun Comics issue 6 in 1935, published by National Allied Publications, which later became DC Comics, the same DC Comics we know and love. That makes him one of the oldest DC characters ever. End of story. Dr. Occult is a supernatural detective, sort of like a 1930s version of John Constantine. He investigates cases involving ghosts, demons, and magical phenomena, anything mystifying and crazy and scary. His tools of the trade include the symbol of the Seven, a mystical talisman that protects him from dark forces. And while he doesn't wear a flashy costume per se, his trench coat and fedora give him quite a classic noir vibe. Also a fedora and you're a superhero? You're my favorite, let's do it. The Shadow. Let's travel back to the golden age of pulp fiction. In 1930, a mysterious figure named the Shadow came from the darkness. Not in comics, but on the radio. Yeah, tune in. Created by Walter B. Gibson for the Detective Story Hour, The Shadow was a vigilante who quickly captured listeners' imaginations, which is hard. That's like the OG podcasting right there. By 1931, he transitioned to pulp novels, and in 1940, he made his way eventually into comics. The Shadow is all about mystery. By day, he's Lamont Cranston, a wealthy socialite, but by night, he becomes the Shadow, a master of disguise and stealth who uses his twin blasters to take down criminals. His iconic catchphrase, "Who knows what evil lurks in the heart of men?" I mean, what? Dude, that is so iconic. Who just says that? What are you, Gandhi? It's no surprise he became a pop culture staple. The Shadow's influence is huge. He's considered a direct inspiration for Batman, from his use of fear and shadows to his dual identity as a wealthy playboy and masked hero. Without the Shadow, Gotham City might look very different today. It might look like Toronto. Captain Marvel, Shazam. Now here's a superhero who once gave Superman a run for his money. Literally. Captain Marvel, now known as Shazam, made his first appearance in Whiz Comics issue 2 in 1939, created by writer Bill Parker and artist C.C. Beck for Fawcett Comics. Now, at one point, Captain Marvel was the most popular superhero in the world, even outselling Superman during the 1940s. That wasn't an easy task. Beating Superman, that's actually quite hard. The story is simple, yet magical. Billy Batson, a young boy, is granted the ability to transform into this adult superhero simply by shouting the word Shazam. Each letter of the word represents a mythical figure's power. Solomon's wisdom, Hercules' strength, Atlas's stamina, Zeus's power, Achilles' courage, and Mercury's speed. Yeah, kind of OP if you ask me, but whatever. Shazam's bright red costume and the lightning bolt emblem and gold trim cape became instantly iconic. I liked the first Shazam movie quite a bit, not sure why, but I wasn't very attached to the second one. Wasn't nearly as fun as the first. Also, Zachary Levi's kinda, yeah, he's going downhill. Namor the Submariner. Namor the Submariner, Marvel's first ever superhero, is way older than you think. This aquatic anti-hero debuted in Marvel Comics 1 in October 1939, created by writer-artist Bill Everett for Timely Comics, the company that would later become Marvel. That means that Namor predates Captain America, Spider-Man, and even the Fantastic Four. Talk about being an old head. Namor is the half-human, half-Atlantean ruler of the underwater kingdom of Atlantis. Again, Nepo baby for sure. He's got all the powers you'd expect: super strength, the ability to breathe underwater, and telepathic control over sea creatures. Imagine controlling a fish, that would be amazing. But he's also got something you don't see every day. He's got little ankle wings that let him fly. I would love some ankle wings. I wouldn't be late a day in my life. Namor is fiercely protective of his underwater kingdom, which often puts him at odds with surface dwellers. He's one of the first comic book anti-heroes, meaning he doesn't always play nice. Even when he's fighting for a good cause, he's still got some dirty tricks. Some tricks in his little winged shoes. Namor's complex personality, proud, arrogant, but also deeply loyal to his people, this makes him stand out even today. I loved him in Wakanda Forever. I thought he was the best part of the movie, but I don't think we'll see him again anytime soon. Let's hope, but I don't think so. The Green Llama. If you've never heard of the Green Llama, well, don't worry. He's one of those forgotten Golden Age superheroes, but he has a fascinating history. I mean, his name's the Green Llama. I mean, come on. Created by writer Ken Crossan, the Green Llama first appeared in Double Detective magazines back in 1940 and later made the leap to comic books. The Green Llama, whose real name is Jethro Dumont, is a millionaire playboy who becomes a Buddhist monk after spending time in Tibet. He gains mystical powers like super strength, flight, and the ability to emit green energy beams, hence his name. Using his newfound abilities, he returns to America to fight crime and battle evil forces. What makes the Green Llama unique is his spiritual background. He's one of the first superheroes to be explicitly tied to Eastern philosophies, which was rare for the time. Though he's not as well known as Batman or Superman, he's quite an interesting relic from a time when superheroes were experimenting with all kinds of influences. Plastic Man. If you think stretchy superheroes began with the Fantastic Four's Mr. Fantastic, well, think again, bucko. Plastic Man was created by writer/artist Jack Cole and made his first appearance in Police Comics 1 in 1941. It was published originally by Quality Comics. Plastic Man's kinda wacky, slapstick adventures made him one of the first superheroes to really embrace humor as a core part of his character. I mean, after all, his name is Plastic Man. You can't really take that too seriously. Plastic Man started out as Eel O'Brien, a small-time crook who fell into a vat of chemicals during a heist. The classic whoops, fell into a vat of superpowers trick, love that. Now instead of perishing, he gained the ability to stretch, contort, and reshape his body into any form imaginable. As a tall man, I would love that. I could itch my back finally, be at peace, that'd be lovely. Realizing he has a second chance at life, Eel reformed and became the crime-fighting, joke-cracking Plastic Man. Even after 80 years, Plastic Man remains a fan favorite for his unique mix of comedy and action. The Blue Beetle is another Golden Age hero with a long, fascinating history. Created by Charles Nicholas Wachowski, he first appeared in Mystery Men Comics 1 in 1939, published by Fox Feature Syndicate. Over the decades, the mantle of the Blue Beetle has been passed down to these different characters, but it all started with Dan Garrett. The original Blue Beetle was a police officer who used a mystical scarab to fight crime, giving him super strength and invulnerability. Again, I would love to have a mystical scarab, but instead I just got like jeans, I don't know. In later iterations, like Ted Kord's version, the scarab was replaced by high-tech gadgets and a flying beetle-shaped vehicle. I personally am a fan of the scarab, but we love change. Now the Blue Beetle might not have the name recognition of Superman or Spider-Man, not nearly as much, but he's been a staple of the comic book world for over 80 years. The movie was actually pretty good too. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It looks like a kid's movie, but it packs a punch. And lastly, the Human Torch. Wait a second, if you're thinking of Fantastic Four's Human Torch, think again. The original Human Torch made its first appearance in Marvel Comics issue 1 in 1939, created by Carl Burgos for Timely Comics. Now this Human Torch wasn't even a human. He was an android, so kind of a confusing name, I get it. The original Human Torch, named Jim Hammond, was a synthetic man created by Professor Phineas Horton. Now when exposed to oxygen, his body would ignite, turning him into this blazing superhero. Though he struggled to control his powers at first, he eventually became a hero, fighting in World War II. Jim Hammond was one of Marvel's first big stars and even teamed up with Namor the Submariner in early stories. Though he's not as well known today, his legacy of course still lives on in the Fantastic Four's Johnny Storm and in Marvel's rich history. And also they're gonna hit the big screen really soon with Marvel Cinematic Universe. I can't wait for Fantastic Four. Number 10, the Penguin. Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, made his first appearance in Detective Comics issue 58 back in the 1940s. He's one of Batman's most enduring foes, blending high society elegance, of course, with ruthless criminality. Known for his iconic tuxedo and trick umbrellas, he's often underestimated, but he poses a significant threat to Gotham. In the Penguin Affair, which happened back in Batman issue 448, he uses a bird-controlling device to orchestrate high-profile crimes, of course forcing Batman and Robin to outwit his cunning schemes. Now, beyond his criminal exploits, Cobblepot runs the Iceberg Lounge. It's a nightclub that doubles as a hub for Gotham's underworld, of course solidifying his role as a key player in the city's dark underbelly. The show is also pretty great too. If you haven't seen that, you should definitely watch it. Number 9, Solomon Grundy. Solomon Grundy's tragic origins make him one of DC's most haunting villains. He was once a wealthy man named Cyrus Gold, and he was sadly taken out and dumped in Slaughter Swamp. What a crazy name. Only to rise as the monstrous Grundy. Now, each time he passes away, he's actually reborn but stronger, with little memory of his past lives. A standout story called Solomon Grundy happened in Starman issue 33, and it reveals his bond with Jack Knight, the current Starman, who sees glimpses of humanity within him. Now, this arc explores Grundy's fractured memories and moments of innocence, adding emotional depth to the character, often clashing with heroes like Green Lantern and Batman. Grundy is a symbol of horror, tragedy, and unstoppable strength in the DC universe. Number 8, the Scarecrow. Making his first appearance in World's Finest Comics issue 3 back in 1941. Dr. Jonathan Crane, better known as the Scarecrow, is one of Gotham's most chilling villains, using fear itself as his tool. Once a former professor of psychology, Crane was dismissed from his university positioning for conducting unethical experiments on fear. Sounds like a villain right off the hop. He turned his obsession into a life of crime. He developed a fear toxin that induces terrifying hallucinations, reducing even the strongest-willed individuals to panic. One of Scarecrow's most memorable storylines is Fear of Faith. It happened in Batman No Man's Land issues 1 to 4. In this arc, Gotham is devastated by an earthquake, leaving the city, of course, in chaos. Now, amid the ruins, Scarecrow manipulates a group of desperate survivors, preying on their fears to control them. This story highlights Crane's cunning nature as he uses fear not only as a tool, but as means to exert psychological dominance. dominance. Scarecrow has clashed with Batman numerous times on and off screen, often targeting the Dark Knight's greatest fear, which is failing to protect Gotham. His ability to break minds, combined with his eerie presence and unsettling motives, cements him as one of Batman's most disturbing and enduring villains. Number 7. The Riddler. Making his first appearance in Detective Comics 140 back in 1948, Edward Nygma, aka the Riddler, thrives on intellectual dominance. His love for puzzles and riddles often turns his crimes into these elaborate games designed to outsmart Batman. One of the Riddler's most memorable storylines is that of Hush, where he plays a crucial role in orchestrating a grand conspiracy against Batman. Working behind the scenes, the Riddler helps the mysterious Hush manipulate Gotham's villains to target Batman, all of them. His role in unraveling Bruce Wayne's identity as Batman also showcases his brilliance and ability to influence events, all from the shadows. You wouldn't even see him coming. Though often portrayed as this quirky, Jim Carrey nuisance of a character, modern interpretations of the Riddler do highlight his darker, more menacing side, solidifying his status as one of Batman's greatest intellectual adversaries. Yeah, if you compare Jim Carrey's Riddler to Paul Dano's Riddler on screen, they're both very different, but somehow they're both very accurate. Number 6. Lex Luthor. First appearing in Action Comics issue 23 back in the 1940s. Lex Luthor is an embodiment of human ambition and, of course, arrogance and baldness. As a billionaire genius, he views Superman not as a hero, but as a threat to humanity's potential. One of Lex's defining moments comes in All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. Now, in this critically acclaimed story, Lex achieves his ultimate goal of defeating Superman by exposing him to lethal solar radiation. Now, as Superman faces his mortality, Lex reflects on the choices that led him to become a villain, adding layers to his, of course, complex character. Whether he's battling Superman in a high-tech war suit or manipulating the world's political stage, Lex Luthor remains one of DC's most compelling and enduring villains. Nicholas Hoult is playing this character in James Gunn's new Superman movie, and he looks great. He's bald, so he's already halfway there. Number 5. The Joker. The Joker is chaos. He's a villain who thrives on destruction, anarchy, and of course, tormenting Gotham City. His maniacal laugh, the painted grin, and twisted sense of humor, this all masks a violent and unpredictable nature that makes him Batman's ultimate nemesis. Heath Ledger also, I mean, how do you beat that role? Alan Moore wrote one of his most infamous moments. This controversial and iconic storyline explores the Joker's origin and his attempt to drive Commissioner Gordon absolutely insane. So in a shocking act, he actually hurts Barbara Gordon in front of her father, highlighting his sadistic nature, and the story dives into the dark parallels between Batman and the Joker, emphasizing their shared tragedy and opposing responses to said tragedy. The Joker's relationship with Batman is as much psychological as it is physical. He constantly pushes Batman to question his morals and methods, making their rivalry one of the most compelling dynamics in comic book history. Yeah, Heath Ledger and then Jared Leto. It's like, what happened? Number 4. Brainiac. Brainiac is an alien android and one of Superman's greatest adversaries. Yeah, you had me at alien android. Obsessed with knowledge, he travels the universe, shrinking down cities and then bottling them for his collection. Yeah, I'm more of a seashell guy myself. His cold, calculating nature and advanced technology make him a unique threat not only to Superman, but of course the entire DC universe. One of Brainiac's most famous arcs is in Brainiac. It's Action Comics 866 by Jeff Johns. Now, in this modern retelling, Brainiac invades Earth, classic, revealing that he was responsible for shrinking the Kryptonian city of Kandor, and Superman faces one of his most challenging battles as Brainiac's intellect and technology push him to his limits. This storyline redefines Brainiac as a menacing and unstoppable foe while exploring Superman's emotional connection to his Kryptonian heritage. Brainiac's ability to manipulate entire civilizations and his single-minded pursuit of knowledge, of course, makes him one of DC's most fearsome villains. You have to add him on this list. He's old, but he's gold. Number 3. Darkseid. Darkseid is the godlike ruler of Apokolips, a planet of fire and suffering. Doesn't that sound fun? Sounds like a great time. He seeks the anti-life equation, which is a formula that would allow him to dominate all free will in the universe. I'm still struggling with Bedmass. With godlike powers, including the devastating Omega beams, Darkseid is a near unstoppable force, and he's also terrifying to look at. In the Great Darkness saga, Legion of Superheroes issue 290 to 294, Darkseid attempts to conquer the 30th century by controlling powerful beings and threatening the very fabric of reality. That ought to do it. The story is a testament to his ability to instill fear and manipulate even the strongest heroes. Darkseid clashes with Superman and the Justice League, and these ones are legendary, showcasing the overwhelming power and sheer malevolence that make him one of the greatest villains in DC Comics. The Justice League Snyder Cut does have a scene where he's using his Omega beams to take out the entire team, and it's very, very scary. Ra's al Ghul. He is the leader of the League of Shadows, a shadowy organization, of course, dedicated dedicated to reshaping the world through destruction. Ergo, the worst of the worst. His use of the Lazarus Pit grants him near immortality, while his intellect, combat skills, and resources make him one of Batman's most formidable foes. In Son of the Demon, Ra's and Batman form a brief alliance against a common enemy, believe it or not. Now during this time, Ra's introduces Batman to his daughter, Talia al Ghul, leading to a complicated romance. Yeah, that one's a situationship. This story introduces Damian Wayne, Batman's son and eventual Robin, adding a deeply personal layer to their rivalry. Ra's al Ghul's vision of global balance through destruction contrasts sharply with Batman's principles, making their battles philosophical and also, of course, physical, because they both know how to fight. And number 1, Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash is the Flash's ultimate nemesis. I mean, as if his name didn't hint that. Hailing from the 25th century, Thawne idolized Barry Allen before his obsession turned into hatred. He uses his speed to manipulate time, wreaking havoc on Barry's life and legacy, and one of his most defining moments is in Flashpoint. His interference in Barry's past leads to an alternate timeline where the world is plunged into chaos. Now, in this dystopian reality, Wonder Woman and Aquaman are at war, Bruce Wayne's father actually became Batman, and Bruce Wayne, well, you can guess the rest there. And Barry is forced to confront the devastating consequences of changing time, with Thawne mocking him every step of the way. Yeah, just heckling him while he's in an alternate universe? That's rude. Reverse Flash's ability to mirror the Flash's powers and his unrelenting vendetta made him one of DC's most complex and dangerous villains. They haven't quite figured out how to do this on film. The Flash movie wasn't that great, but I see where they were going with it. Maybe.
Clocking in at a mind-boggling 13 billion years old, we have a tie. Both hailing from DC Comics, we have Metron, the godlike observer who travels through time and space on his Mobius chair, constantly seeking knowledge. And then there are the Guardians of the Universe, the immortal protectors of the Green Lantern Corps. These ancient beings have seen the universe evolve from its infancy, making them some of the oldest and wisest entities in existence. Metron and the Guardians of the Universe are two of the most powerful and influential beings in the DC Universe. They have both existed for billions of years, witnessing the rise and fall of countless civilizations. However, they have used their power in very different ways. Metron is a solitary figure who seeks knowledge for its own sake. He is often seen as a neutral observer, but he has also been known to intervene in the affairs of mortals. Metron's Mobius chair allows him to travel through time and space, and to access any information he desires. He has used this power to learn about the history of the universe, and to understand the nature of reality itself. Metron's knowledge is vast, and his understanding of the universe is profound. He has seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations, and he has witnessed the birth and death of stars. He has also seen the good and the bad in humanity, and he has learned that the universe is a complex and often unpredictable place. Metron's wisdom is often sought by other beings, and he has been known to offer advice to both heroes and villains. However, he is always careful to remain impartial. He believes that it is not his place to judge others, and that each individual must make their own choices. Metron's dedication to knowledge is unwavering. He is always seeking to learn more about the universe, and he is never satisfied with what he knows. He believes that there is always more to learn, and that the pursuit of knowledge is one of the most important things in life. Metron's knowledge and wisdom make him a valuable asset to the DC Universe. He is often consulted by other beings when they need advice or guidance. He is also a powerful ally to the forces of good, and he has used his knowledge and power to help defeat evil. The Guardians of the Universe, on the other hand, are more proactive in their use of power. They have created the Green Lantern Corps, a peacekeeping force that protects the universe from evil. The Guardians are also responsible for creating many of the powerful artifacts that are used by the Green Lanterns, such as the Power Rings and the Central Power Battery. The Guardians are a council of wise and powerful beings who have dedicated their lives to protecting the universe. They are often seen as the moral compass of the DC Universe, and their influence can be felt throughout the cosmos. The Guardians of the Universe are a diverse group of beings, each with their own unique abilities and perspectives. They are united by their commitment to justice and their desire to protect the universe from harm. The Guardians have used their power to create a vast network of Green Lanterns, who are spread throughout the universe and are responsible for maintaining order and peace. The Guardians are also responsible for creating the Book of Oa, which contains the history of the universe and the secrets of the Green Lantern Corps. The Guardians of the Universe are one of the most powerful and influential forces in the DC Universe. They have been responsible for shaping the course of history, and their influence can be felt throughout the cosmos. They are a symbol of hope and justice, and they will continue to protect the universe for generations to come. At a sprightly 225 million years young, John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, is a being of immense power and sorrow. Born into a utopian Martian society millions of years ago, he was known as Ma'alefa'ak, and his people, the Green Martians, possessed a natural empathy and telepathic connection that fostered harmony. However, this peaceful existence was shattered by the rise of the White Martians, a subspecies driven by aggression and fear. They engineered a curse of fire that exploited a deep-seated Martian vulnerability to flames, decimating their own kind and leaving John as the sole survivor of this ancient race. His escape from the Martian genocide was nothing short of miraculous. Through a tragic accident involving the human scientist Dr. Saul Erdel and his experimental teleportation technology, John was ripped from his dying world and flung across the vastness of space to Earth. Stranded and alone, he grappled with the loss of his family, his people, and his entire civilization. He adopted the human guise of John Jones, a detective in the fictional town of Middletown, USA, using this identity to integrate into human society and secretly protect his new home. John's powers are a reflection of his Martian physiology and his deep connection to the psychic energy that permeates the universe. He is a shapeshifter of extraordinary ability, capable of altering his form at will, from mimicking the appearance of any human to transforming into monstrous creatures or even becoming intangible. His telepathy is equally formidable, allowing him to read minds, control thoughts, and even communicate across vast distances. He possesses superhuman strength, flight, and Martian vision, which grants him heat vision and other optic abilities. However, this incredible power comes with a profound weakness. Fire, the primal fear instilled by the White Martian's curse of fire, remains, leaving him vulnerable to both physical flames and psychic attacks that exploit this deep-seated trauma. Despite his immense power, John is a deeply compassionate being. He is driven by a profound sense of justice and a desire to prevent others from suffering the same loss he endured. He has been a core member of the Justice League, often serving as its heart and conscience. His wisdom and empathy make him a valuable leader, and his unique perspective as an outsider allows him to offer insights that others might miss. Yuga Khan, the very name whispers terror throughout the cosmos. This ancient and monstrous being is not merely old, but immortal, his existence stretching back over 500,000 years, a testament to his terrifying power and insatiable hunger for domination. He is the father of both Highfather, the benevolent ruler of New Genesis, and Darkseid, the tyrannical god of Apocalypse, but dwarfs them both in sheer power and ambition. Yuga Khan was once the ruler of Apocalypse, a world he forged in fire and ruled with an iron fist. His reign was one of unparalleled brutality and oppression, his every whim enforced by legions of monstrous parademons and fearsome warriors. But Yuga Khan's ambitions extended far beyond the conquest of a single world. He craved ultimate power, the power of the source itself, the primal energy that fuels all of existence. Driven by this insatiable thirst, Yuga Khan launched a campaign of terror across the universe, consuming entire worlds to fuel his growing power. He sought to breach the Source Wall, the barrier that separates the known universe from the Source, believing that by claiming its power, he would become the Supreme Being. His quest led him to the very edge of reality, where he confronted the Source itself. But the Source is not to be trifled with. Yuga Khan's hubris and insatiable hunger for power proved his undoing. The Source, in its infinite wisdom, saw the danger he posed and imprisoned him within the Source Wall, transforming him into a Promethean giant, a being of immense size and power, but forever trapped within the cosmic barrier. Despite his imprisonment, Yuga Khan's legend lives on. He is a figure of dread, a reminder of the ultimate cost of unchecked ambition and the destructive potential of power without compassion. Even Darkseid, his own son and a being of immense power himself, fears the day his father might break free from his cosmic prison. Darkseid. The name itself evokes images of tyranny, oppression, and the relentless pursuit of domination. He is the embodiment of evil in the DC universe, a godlike being of immense power and cruelty who has plagued heroes for millennia. While his exact age remains shrouded in mystery, it is estimated that Darkseid is at least 250,000 years old, his existence stretching back to the earliest days of the Fourth World. And like his father, Yuga Khan, he is functionally immortal, his life force tied to the very fabric of Apocalypse itself. Born Uxas, he was the younger son of Yuga Khan and Hegra, and from his earliest days, he craved power. He murdered his brother Drax to claim the power of the Omega Force, a cosmic energy that grants him near omnipotence. This act transformed him into the being known as Darkseid, a hulking figure with granite gray skin and burning red eyes that radiate his malevolent power. Darkseid rules Apocalypse, a nightmarish world of fire and brimstone with an iron fist. His reign is one of absolute terror, his subjects living in constant fear of his wrath. He commands legions of parademons, monstrous flying creatures that serve as his soldiers and enforcers, and he is served by a cadre of powerful lieutenants, including the sadistic Granny Goodness, the cunning Desaad, and his own son, the brutal Calibac. But Darkseid's ambitions extend far beyond the conquest of Apocalypse. He seeks to conquer the entire universe, to impose his will upon all of creation. He believes that free will is an illusion, a weakness that prevents beings from achieving their true potential. His ultimate goal is to obtain the anti-life equation, a mathematical formula that would grant him complete control over the minds and wills of all living beings. Darkseid's power is nearly limitless. He possesses superhuman strength, speed, and durability, and he is virtually invulnerable to harm. His most fearsome weapon is the Omega Beams, fiery rays of energy that he can fire from his eyes. These beams can disintegrate, teleport, or even resurrect their targets, making them a truly devastating force. Darkseid is a constant threat to the heroes of the DC Universe, particularly Superman, whom he sees as the ultimate symbol of hope and freedom. He has clashed with the Justice League countless times, his schemes often threatening to plunge the universe into darkness. His relentless pursuit of power and his unwavering belief in his own superiority make him a truly formidable opponent. First up, the one and only Red Skull, a villain so iconic, so malevolent that he's transcended mere comic book pages to become a symbol of pure evil. Hitting the scene in 1941, can you believe it? 1941, this Nazi nightmare was giving Captain America grief before it was even fashionable to punch Nazis. Originally a regular, run-of-the-mill, horrible person named Johann Schmidt, his depravity was so potent, so palpable, that he was taken under the wing of Adolf Hitler himself and personally trained to be the ultimate weapon of terror. Unlike some villains with flashy powers, the Red Skull's true weapons were his genius-level intellect, his mastery of strategy that allowed him to manipulate events from behind the scenes, and a brutal hand-to-hand combat proficiency honed through years of ruthless training. He may not have had inherent super strength, but his scarred face, a horrifying visage that mirrored the monster within, and his infamous dust of death. A chemical weapon that could kill in seconds, leaving its victims with a gruesome, skull-like rictus, were more than enough to cement his terrifying legacy. And as if that wasn't enough, let's not forget that this embodiment of evil once fused his mind with the pacifist and noble Charles Xavier, leader of the X-Men, granting him powerful psychic abilities for a time, a truly chilling combination of ideological opposites. Next, let's talk about Tentacles. We're diving into the twisted genius of Dr. Octopus, or Doc Ock, as he's affectionately known to his enemies. This multi-limbed menace smashed into the pages of The Amazing Spider-Man #3 in 1963, forever changing the wall-crawler's life. Before his descent into villainy, Doc Ock was Otto Octavius, a brilliant and respected nuclear physicist, a man at the forefront of scientific innovation. Tragically, a catastrophic lab accident, a blinding flash of radiation, fused 4 powerful experimental robotic arms to his body, forever altering his physical form and, more insidiously, warping his once brilliant mind. These weren't just any robotic appendages. These highly advanced prehensile tentacles were controlled directly by his thoughts, granting him extraordinary super strength, unparalleled agility, and the ability to manipulate objects with incredible precision. Imagine the dexterity. It's said he can even use them to perform delicate tasks, even while also using them to hold a building up. And here's a fun fact to file away. Dr. Octopus holds the distinction of being the very first villain to ever hand Spider-Man a true defeat in combat. Can you picture that on your supervillain resume? Defeating Spider-Man. It instantly solidified his place as one of the web slinger's most formidable and enduring foes. Now let's dig deep, really deep, for a villain who prefers the dimly lit tunnels and echoing caverns far beneath our feet, the Mole Man. This subterranean schemer actually holds the unique honor of being the very first villain the Fantastic Four ever faced, making his debut in the groundbreaking Fantastic Four #1 all the way back in 1961. That's right, he predates almost every other major Marvel villain. Before he became the ruler of the underworld, the Mole Man was a brilliant, if somewhat eccentric scientist, shunned and ridiculed by the surface world for his appearance and unconventional theories. Driven to the fringes of society, he embarked on a perilous journey to the Earth's core, where he stumbled upon the hidden, breathtaking realm of Subterranea. In this subterranean wonderland, he found not only refuge, but also a kingdom, becoming the undisputed ruler of the Moloids, a race of small, pale, subterranean humanoids who consider him their leader. He might not have flashy superpowers like super strength or flight, but the Mole Man is a master strategist, utilizing his knowledge of advanced to forgotten technology and his command over the monstrous creatures that dwell in the depths to constantly plot and scheme against the surface world he feels rejected him. Plus, who can forget his signature radar sense, a unique ability that allows him to navigate and perceive his surroundings in the pitch-black darkness of his underground domain. How about a villain who proves that true power comes not from brute strength, but from a razor-sharp intellect? We're talking about the Mad Thinker, a moniker that perfectly encapsulates his formidable mental prowess. First appearing in Fantastic Four #15 in 1962, this guy is a strategic mastermind, a human computer with an intellect so advanced it borders on the preternatural. He might not be able to throw a punch or withstand a physical assault, but don't let that fool you. The Mad Thinker is as dangerous as they come. His mind is his weapon, and he wields it with terrifying precision. He's a master inventor, crafting deadly and intricate gadgets designed to exploit the weaknesses of his foes. But his true power lies in his unparalleled ability to calculate probabilities, to analyze his opponent's every move, and predict their actions with uncanny accuracy. He can outmaneuver almost any hero, not with super speed, but with cold, hard logic, turning their strengths against them. He is a chess master playing with lives, always several steps ahead, making him a truly formidable foe, even for teams as powerful as the Fantastic Four. Next up, we've got a villain who embodies the perfect fusion of ancient mysticism and cutting-edge technology. The Mandarin, this iconic arch-enemy of Iron Man, first graced the pages of Tales of Suspense #50 in 1964, instantly establishing himself as a force to be reckoned with. The Mandarin is no ordinary foe. He's a scientific genius on par with Tony Stark himself, and a martial arts master whose skills are virtually unmatched in the Marvel Universe. But his true power, the source of his fearsome reputation, lies in the 10 rings he wears, each one an artifact of incredible power, each granting him a unique and devastating ability. We're talking about power rings, ancient and probably alien in origin, that allow him to unleash devastating ice blasts, control the very forces of electromagnetism, project intense heat and concussive force, manipulate light to create illusions, and even most terrifyingly, disintegrate matter at the atomic level. With this arsenal at his fingertips, the Mandarin is a walking arsenal, a one-man army capable of challenging even the most powerful of heroes, making him a truly legendary adversary in the annals of Marvel villainy. Let's add another star-spangled foe to the mix, a villain whose name is synonymous with treachery and cruelty, the original Baron Zemo. Though his first chronological appearance in comics was in The Avengers #4 in 1964, his story was cleverly retroactively woven into the tapestry of World War II, making him a contemporary and bitter enemy of Captain America during the war. This wasn't just any Zemo, this was Heinrich Zemo, the patriarch of the infamous Zemo lineage, a brilliant and utterly ruthless Nazi scientist whose intellect was matched only by his depravity. He was a master inventor, responsible for creating some of the most terrifying weapons in the Nazi arsenal. But he is best known, perhaps, for his infamous Adhesive X, a super adhesive so incredibly strong, so incredibly potent, that it was virtually inescapable once applied. This seemingly simple invention proved to be one of the most effective and frustrating weapons ever used against the forces of good. Trapped by Adhesive X, even the strongest heroes found themselves helpless, stuck fast, and unable to break free, a testament to Zemo's twisted genius and a chilling reminder of his villainous legacy. Over the years, he was a constant thorn in Captain America's side. And how about a villain who's truly shocking? We're talking about Electro. In The Amazing Spider-Man #9 in 1964, Max Dillon, your average electrical lineman, was struck by lightning, transforming him into a living power conductor. He can shoot lightning bolts, control electrical appliances, and even travel through power lines. He's a classic Spider-Man foe with a truly electrifying power set. Time for a time-twisting terror. Kang the Conqueror, or should we say Rama-Tooth, showed up in 1963, first as a pharaoh and later in his Kong persona. This descendant of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic himself, travels through time in battle armor, conquering eras. He's a genius with tech that lets him erase people from time itself. Oh, and he has tons of alternate versions like Immortus and Iron Lad. Talk about complicated things. Ready for creepy? Mr. Sinister slithered into the Uncanny X-Men number 212 in 1986. Originally Nathaniel Essex, a Victorian scientist obsessed with genetics, he was transformed by Apocalypse into the ageless, power-absorbing Mr. Sinister. He's got shape-shifting, telepathy, telekinesis, a healing factor, and can steal powers. And get this, he was created by a child mutant, pure nightmare fuel. Last but not least, the bug-eyed ruler of the negative zone, Annihilus. This cosmic creepy crawly debuted in Fantastic Four Annual number 6 in 1968. He's got super strength, flight, and the cosmic control rod, which lets him manipulate cosmic energy and makes him virtually immortal. He's a recurring Fantastic Four foe and even led the massive Annihilation event. This is one bug you don't want to step on.
Number 10. Lasher. Lasher was created when a company called the Life Foundation forcibly extracted 5 offspring from Venom. You see, during the Cold War, the Life Foundation believed that a nuclear holocaust was coming and wanted to create a superpowered police force to protect this new world or, utopia that they were creating. That's when they decided that a symbiote police force would probably be the best option. One of those 5 symbiotes was Lasher. Lasher merged with Ramon Hernandez and is known for his green color and the tentacles on his back, which, was his primary attack, and for the most part, it was very effective. Number 9. Phage. Also one of the ones created because of the Life Foundation, Phage bonded with Karl Mack. Phage is known for his orange and black appearance and being able to mold his body into sharp blades, similar, to Carnage, which was effective against his opponents. He's also one of the larger symbiotes. He has a build that is very similar to Venom, which along with those blades would make, a really deadly combo. Number 8. Agony. Agony, also a Life Foundation creation, bonded with Leslie Jasnira. Agony was unique in that she was able to spit acid that could burn through almost anything. Agony also had the power to absorb and regurgitate chemicals. Oh god. That's so gross. She also had a very different look than her siblings. She was bright purple with hints of black and had wavy hair. Of course, she also had sharp teeth and massive claws. Number 7. Riot. Riot is, well, you guessed it, another symbiote created because of the Life Foundation. Riot bonded with Trevor Cole, who was a mercenary. Riot took on a very similar appearance to Venom. His build, size, and color scheme were all very similar. He's also considered to be the most violent of the Life Foundation creations. Riot is also the only one of his siblings to make a live-action appearance, so far. He was the main antagonist in the 2018 film Venom. Now, in the film, he didn't actually merge with Trevor Cole, instead he went with the head of the Life Foundation, Carlton Drake. Who knows? Maybe we'll see some of Riot's siblings in future films. Number 6. Scream. Can I get created because of Life Foundation for 500? Oh, thank you. Scream ended up bonding with human Donna Diego. Scream's color scheme is also very unique, at least for symbiotes. Scream is yellow and black. Also, it is believed that Scream is the strongest of the symbiotes that were extracted from Venom. The reason being is that even though, she was eventually defeated, she took out and killed the host of the other 4 symbiotes that were created by the Life Foundation. Scream also used her long, flowing hair as a weapon, whipping it and slicing her foes. Number 5. Hybrid. Have you ever wondered what would happen if 4 symbiotes merged together? Well, that is exactly what Hybrid is. Hybrid is Riot, Phage, Lasher, and Agony merged into one. All 4 of their hosts were killed by their sibling Scream. Hybrid merged with Scott Washington, who was a guardsman at the prison The Vault, where all 4 of them were actually being held. Now, Scott ended up realizing these 4 symbiotes weren't actually all that evil, and that the experiments that were being done on them were actually causing them a great deal of pain. So, he decided to free them, and he got fired for it. They eventually bonded with him, and because of that, Scott actually regained the ability to walk. You see, years earlier there was a shooting that killed his brother and left him paralyzed. He wanted to go after the people that caused this and kill them, but get this, the symbiotes actually told him not to do it. They didn't actually want to kill anyone. So they ended up finding the people responsible and handing them over to the authorities. You see, not all symbiotes are bad. Also, since there were 4 different symbiotes merged into one, Scott had to deal with 4 different personalities. Man, that would be an experience. Hearing all those voices in your head, probably make you go a bit crazy. Number 4, All Black the Necrosword. Alright, so this one isn't technically an old symbiote, but it is the oldest symbiote. You get it? You know what I mean? Okay, what I mean by that is, even though it was introduced in Thor God of Thunder #2 in 2013, it was revealed that it is technically the oldest symbiote ever created. It was primarily used by Gore the God Butcher. It was so powerful that it could kill gods and celestial beings, and every time it did kill them, it took their blood and got even stronger. It instantly became a fan favorite, and because of it, we got one of the most popular Thor stories ever written. And, fun fact, it has also been used by Galactus to destroy worlds. I mean, the thing is insanely powerful. Number 3, Toxin. Toxin is one of the newer ones on this list, but of course, that doesn't mean he's actually really new. Toxin debuted all the way back in 2004. Now, since all symbiotes create their offspring alone, they don't actually need to mate with one another. This eventually ends up happening to Carnage. Now, Carnage was naturally worried because each offspring is said to be stronger than their predecessor. Because of that, Carnage was ready to kill it as soon as it was born. Good old Carnage. When Toxin was born, Carnage just couldn't kill it. He did try, but Toxin was just already too powerful, and it ended up bonding with Patrick Mulligan, an NYPD officer. Toxin is also red and has a slim spider-like appearance when he was bonded with Patrick, but later on he ended up bonding with Eddie Brock and grew to be a lot bigger and way scarier. He also has an amazing healing factor and is more resistant to sound and heat than most other symbiotes. Number 2, Carnage. Carnage is the first child of Venom. Carnage is all red and is one of the most powerful and terrifying symbiotes around. Seriously, this guy is what nightmares are made of. And to make matters worse, he bonded with a serial killer, Cletus Cassidy, who we will finally see in live action for the very first time this year in Sony's Venom 2. I mean, fingers crossed it turns out well. I'm really hoping. Okay, but back to the comics. Carnage was created when Venom left behind his offspring in the prison where Eddie Brock was being held. This new symbiote offspring made its way to Eddie's cellmate, Cletus. Cletus then broke out of prison and began murdering a ton of people. No surprise there. Carnage also went on to become one of Spider-Man's greatest foes. Number 1, Venom. The original symbiote. While he may not be the strongest or technically the oldest, Venom is still considered to be the best by a lot of fans. There's a reason people have grown to love symbiotes so much, and it all has to do with this guy. He was first introduced when he bonded with Peter Parker, giving him, the famous black suit. Although, fans weren't instantly happy with Spider-Man's new look. It did become a lot more famous and well liked as time went on. They eventually did make him change back to his, good old red and blue spandex. And the alien symbiote found its way to another host, Eddie Brock. Fans just couldn't get enough of Venom, and to this day, he is regarded as one of the greatest Spider-Man villains of all time. I mean, the guy had his own film in 2018 and it grossed over $856 million at the worldwide box office. And that was with a mixed response. Not a lot of villains could do that.
And for this list, starting off at number 10 is Magneto. Starting off this list with the absolute GOAT. Magneto has been around for a long time, and a majority of that time, he was a villain, or at best, an anti-hero. As the #1 rival of Professor Charles Xavier, Magneto's view of the world is pretty interesting given that he was the child of a Jewish family during World War II, and yet, after years of persecution for being a mutant, he believed his race to be superior to regular humans nonetheless, and that humans should be subservient or destroyed. Under this mentality, he led the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants as well as other groups against the X-Men and the Earth's heroes. Now everybody knows that Magneto is not someone you mess with. He has enough power and enough experience to stomp almost anyone. For example, while he has become more of just a hero nowadays, there's a point where he gets his heart ripped out by a villain called Uranos. But he keeps himself alive by using his powers to keep his blood flowing. He's just that insanely powerful. But being born around World War II and the rival to Charles Xavier, he's been up there in the age department since he was introduced, but always manages to decimate his enemies. Number 9, Cassandra Nova. Sticking with X-related heroes, we have the evil twin, or or counterpart or anti-self to Charles Xavier. Cassandra Nova isn't really a mutant, but she isn't really a person either. She is actually what is known as a Mumadrai, the spirit that is equal to the opposite of a person. Wrap your head around that one. This is about to get wild, so buckle up. Because of the genetic mutant potential of Charles Xavier, his Mumadrai was able to create a physical form for itself when Sharon Xavier was pregnant with Charles, making Cassandra basically Xavier's twin. Now Charles, even as a baby, sensed Cassandra as an evil presence, and he used his psychic abilities to try and take her out in the womb. Cassandra survived though, and so she spent decades as this terrifying mass of cells in a sewer, building herself a new body and planning her revenge on her brother. Cassandra has all the same telepathic powers as Charles himself, plus some telekinetic abilities as well. But being a Mumadrai, she has the terrifying ability to manipulate DNA, breaking it down, copying it, and being able to construct physical bodies. She can even phase through solid objects, regenerate insanely fast, and enhance and evolve other mutant abilities. Number 8. Granny Goodness. Stepping away from Marvel for a moment, Granny Goodness is probably the complete opposite of anything we would describe as goodness. She was originally one of the lowlies, which is basically the peasant class on DC Universe's Apocalypse. From a younger age, she was taken by Darkseid and raised and trained to become head of the Shock Troops and the Female Furies. She has the responsibility to bring young warriors from other worlds to fight each other to earn the right to be trained by her. But Granny Goodness also has multiple orphanages where she both trains and disciplines younger individuals looking for potential warriors for Darkseid. Now, being a resident of Apocalypse, Granny here does have quite a bit of power. She has superhuman strength, speed, durability, and senses, as well as invulnerability and an advanced immune system and immortality. But being immortal doesn't necessarily save you from looking old as hell, which is why we get Granny Goodness. Number 7. Horticulture. You know, sometimes a group of villains comes along that just kind of makes me smile. And Horticulture, who first appeared in X-Men Volume 5, Number 3 in December 2019, are one such group. Horticulture is described on their wiki as a group of agrochemists, biotechnologists, and eugenic engineers who specialize in the genetic manipulation and propagation of all things botanical. So, to me and my tiny brain, I take that information and translate it to, it's a bunch of old plant scientist ladies. Because that's what they are. It's a bunch of older ladies who are seeking to radically depopulate humans from the Earth in order to bring the Earth and nature to a state of balance. With the climate the way it is right now, it's actually kind of an understandable cause, even if it's utterly insane. Using their know-how, they made biological modifications to themselves, like resistance to telepathy and extended lifespans, but they also developed technology to manipulate their environment, inhibit mutant powers, and generate illusions on men. But they also have experience as computer programmers, being able to access the Krakoan gateways and trade information with the villainous anti-mutant group known as Orcus. Number 6. Old Loki from the MCU. Alright, I'm going to step away from the pages of comic books altogether here. During the MCU's Loki show, Loki gets sent to the Void, where the whole place is basically filled with other alternate versions of himself. But he specifically became part of a group of 4 other Lokis. Boastful Loki, Alligator Loki, Kid Loki, and the topic for today, Classic Loki. Classic Loki had a similar story to regular Loki from the Sacred Timeline, but when confronted by Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, this Loki decided to use duplication magic to survive the whole thing. He then spent a hell of a long time on a remote planet, ashamed of the nefarious things he had done over time. When he finally tried to return to see his brother, Thor, who he missed, he was an older man, and them meeting caused a divergent timeline, getting himself pruned and sent to the Void. He has probably one of the best moments in the show. When Sylvie, Loki, and Mobius try to escape from the Void, and the reality-consuming Alioth tries to stop them, Classic Loki uses his magic to create a true-to-life, massive illusion of Asgard itself, all while this weird version of Ride of the Valkyries was playing in the background, distracting Alioth and giving me just straight-up goosebumps. Like, I am actually getting them right now just thinking about it. Like, it was such a cool moment. Satisfying. Number 5. Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul was born around 700 years ago, and thanks to the Lazarus Pits, he has been able to keep his body in working order. But he discovered the pits when he was an older gentleman and keeps the look of someone with a significant amount of years to him. After he came in contact with the pits, he eventually became a master martial artist and a master fencer, gaining a massive amount of wealth, and he started creating organizations to rid the world of crime, with his first being called the Demon, which the later League of Assassins is a branch of. Rage's purpose within the League of Assassins is to eliminate all evil in the world by destroying all of humanity and just starting all over. Obviously, that mentality means he routinely has run-ins with the superhero community, especially Batman, who he helped train. Rage has had many plans over the years that tried to destroy the world, and he has also beaten the entire JLA when he discovered Batman's notes. Now, with his years of experience and his vast amount of accumulated resources, this older fellow is a massive threat to both the heroes and the world. Number 4. The Joker. During the absolutely fantastic 3 Jokers storyline, we learn there have actually been 3 Jokers plaguing Gotham over the years, and among the 3 of them is the Golden Age Joker, and he is clearly much older than the other 2. Now, to be completely transparent here, whether this story is canon or not is an area of debate, so it's up to you if this one counts. But the Golden Age Joker, known as the Criminal, is the only one of the 3 Jokers to be a predominantly serious crime lord, and he even says that laughing and smiling is physically painful for him. Another thing that makes this entry a little arguable is that of these 3 Jokers, we don't know which one, if any of them, is the Joker. Even if only one remains in the end, the best part of this story is the uncertainty about which one is the one who started it all. Now, seeing as the Criminal is the oldest, classic version, he seems to be the one who started it all, creating more Jokers to mess with Batman. But the other 2 Jokers have been featured in incredibly important Batman stories as well. The comic really explores all of it, and if you haven't yet, make sure you check out Batman 3 Jokers as soon as possible. Number 3. Maestro. The Incredible Hulk has certainly been through the ringer in his decorated career, but few versions of the character are the living embodiment of that fact, like the Maestro. An alternate version of Bruce Banner from an apocalyptic future, this version of the character is far more intense and complex, but also much older. The best way to explain Maestro is to say that he is basically a smarter, older, villainous version of Dr. Bruce Banner, with all the powers and abilities of the original, but with a touch of nuclear radiation. He has much more of a cosmic and spiritual side to him than the normal Hulk does, but he is also twice as strong as Hulk is, and he retains all the intelligence of Bruce Banner, but with years and years more experience. Despite all that extra strength, brain power, and experience, he still gets outmaneuvered by the Hulk, who sends Maestro back in time to the site of the gamma bomb that created them. But even then, the Maestro's spirit remains on the bones left behind after the explosion went off and he came back to life. Number 2. Agatha Harkness. Like a few of these villains, when we first met Agatha Harkness in Fantastic Four number 94 from October of 1969, she was already elderly. She started out as the nanny for the newly born Franklin Richards, and using her magical powers, she even saved the Fantastic Four from the Frightful Four and a handful of other villains, and also helped Franklin when his powers first started to emerge. But she went on to have an interesting relationship with the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, but also her mother, Natalia Maximoff. That's because this sweet nanny Agatha is actually an incredibly ancient sorcerer who was around to remember the sinking of Atlantis nearly 18,000 years ago. And she was probably the most powerful of the original witches during the Salem witch trials, an event that she actually supported as she thought it would cull the weak magic users who held them back. Agatha, like a lot of older villains, is pretty damn complex. She has helped out heroes on multiple occasions, but she's also done some pretty sinister stuff. But there's no doubt that she is much stronger than both heroes and villains first assume. Number 1. Baron von Strucker. Baron Wolfgang von Strucker was born in the 19th century, so he ain't a young fella by any means. He fought with the Axis powers during World War II alongside and under the Red Skull. He was a top villain at the time, not just for Captain America, but more prominently as an adversary for Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos. And that carried through after the war ended, as Strucker was instrumental in the rise of Hydra and then became the Supreme Hydra. He was even responsible for the corruption of S.H.I.E.L.D. using Hydra to completely take over large parts of S.H.I.E.L.D. itself. When Captain America returned, and then the Red Skull did as well, Strucker began to lose his leadership role within Hydra, and so he faked his own passing, choosing to instead manipulate events from the shadows. Eventually though, Strucker got the Death Spore virus, which is why he is on this list. He's old, and many people don't know he has this particular enhancement. While he is an excellent strategist, a highly intelligent, exceptional hand-to-hand combatant, swordsman and marksman who uses Hydra tech to live longer and be in top physical condition, the Death Spore virus bonded Strucker's DNA with the Death Spore itself, enabling him to be revived after passing away. He hasn't aged since getting the virus, he heals at an incredible rate, is invulnerable to minor injuries, resistant to toxins and disease, and he can even release the Death Spore virus from his body at will, taking his victims' lives nearly instantly if he chooses to.